What is up, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Dudes Who Bet Sports.
So you want to bet sports, but you need some advice on how to cash in big at a heck of a price. Well, if you want enough money to line your shorts, then you're in the right place. This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dudes Who Bet Sports show, number 24, Papa Dude, our 24th show today. I think it's going to be a good one. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to get into some college football playoff talk as well. Before we do, how's it going today?
Hey, going good. Nice sunny day. A little chilly out there. I don't know if you've been out or not, but that wind is a little cold today.
It is a little cold, but yeah, I am feeling rested up. That's the good news. I feel back to normal today. So that is very, very good. Well, I mentioned right off the start, and I'll go ahead and pull it up now. We were going to get into the college football playoff just a bit here. Trying to zoom in on these rankings just a bit for you guys if you're watching live. The second set of rankings have come out, and I think they were more ridiculous than the first set of rankings. What is your take on this? Is this more for entertainment value at this point, or do they really think some of these teams deserve to be where they put them?
It's a mystery to me. I'll tell you for sure. I think it's entertainment value. You know, you get down past the number 10, really, maybe 11. They don't mean a darn thing. They really don't. The only thing I can see that there of any value if one of those contending teams up there plays a team in the top 25 in their rankings, that gives them a significant win. Other than that, those teams don't have a chance to get in there. I don't even know why they do it past 11 or 12, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it's just a talking point, you know.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I think the big one this week, it seems like they put importance on, head-to-head matters, which logically that would make sense with having number 3 Oregon ahead of number 4 Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But then you just go down a few spots.
Yeah. Michigan
is at 6. Michigan State is at 7. Michigan State beat Michigan 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Explain that one.
There is no explanation. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And Oregon, to me, at 3 still doesn't make any sense. So it is going to all play itself out, I think, especially with the Big Ten. I don't know what they're going to do, though, if Oregon keeps winning. So, yeah, and they definitely have a chance to do that. But I don't know. I'm just confused by all of it. And Michigan State dropped to 7, and that's okay. I did think Oklahoma would move up ahead of them, didn't you? And it doesn't really matter at this point. And I'm not saying Oklahoma deserves to be any higher than what they are, because they don't. When you look at who they've defeated, and it's all out there still for the Sooners. So we'll see what happens. It is interesting that they moved Cincinnati up 1.
And Magic, I told Magic, no, I think they'll be 6. And he made a bet that they would be 6, and they were 5. Sorry, Magic. But, here's the deal. I think they're way overvaluing these one-loss teams, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Alabama is nearly as good as what they have been. They're still a good team. I'm not arguing that they're suck or whatever, but they're not great. Oregon, I mean, my goodness, they don't play anybody out in that conference. Ohio State has been sneaking by teams that aren't very good. And I don't think Michigan and Michigan State are considerably better than, say, OU, Notre Dame, OSU, even Texas A&M. Like, I think they would all be favored over Michigan or Michigan State. So they're putting a lot of value on that Big Ten right now. And because, I mean, obviously, Oregon's up at number 3 because they got that win over Ohio State, right? So a lot of value in the Big Ten, and I don't think those teams are as good as what they say. What do you think?
Well, I don't think anybody is except Georgia. Yeah. I mean, as far as trying to rank these teams after them, you could kind of pull them in a hat, and make a case for any of them, because no one has separated themselves from the rest except Georgia. And so it is tough to rank them. And again, we argue about this every week, but it's all going to play itself out because the Big Ten teams are going to play each other and they'll eliminate each other. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State will play each other down the road.
Yep.
And it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. The Alabama-Georgia thing could get all settled too if Alabama gets to the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But it all goes to where this is stupid. They need to go to a 12-team playoff, at least an 8. I'd take 8, but 12 would be great. They need to go to that, and all this crap would be solved, but they won't do it.
Yeah, so quick comment on that. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and we'll get on to the game. So if you want to read Papa Dude's kind of a playoff plan to go to a 12-team playoff, go right now to the website. It's the title of the article is If College Football Had a Brain, and it is a detailed plan by Papa Dude kind of laying out, okay, here's exactly how they need to do it. So you may go read that one. It's very, very good read. Anyway, yeah, that's up now. But I wanted to ask 2 questions.
Okay.
I've been hearing some people say Alabama's going to make it regardless if they beat Georgia or not. Like, assuming there's not a ton of chaos, okay, and kind of the teams you see up there kind of win out, like one team out of the Big Ten has 1 loss, and Oregon has 1 loss, and OU's undefeated, and Cincinnati, blah, blah, blah. Does a 2-loss Alabama have any chance?
Well, let me tell you this. If a 2-loss Alabama gets in, then we might as well just forget everything else. No, they don't get in. There's just, unless there's total chaos. No.
I would agree.
I'm done if they get in.
I would agree, but I've heard some people thinking maybe Alabama is going to get in even with 2 losses. And again, if it's a bunch of chaos and there's, they're the top ranked 2-loss team and there's not enough undefeated or 1-loss teams ahead of them, then that's one thing. But without chaos, there's no way they should be. I totally agree.
The only way I can see a 2-loss team getting in, and there's a lot of things that got to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If Alabama loses and Texas A&M keeps winning, okay, and then Texas A&M would play Georgia,
right,
in the SEC championship game, and they would be on a roll. They would have beaten Alabama, they would have beaten Auburn, Ole Miss. Some pretty good teams that are all ranked. And then if they beat Georgia, then I could see them getting in. I could.
If Alabama were to lose to Arkansas or Auburn, that would put Texas A&M in the SEC title game if they won out. And then I agree. At that point, they might control their own destiny.
They might.
Probably should, actually, especially if they were to beat a Georgia. But that's a long ways from happening. I think Alabama will be the one in that game. The only other question I've got left for this week, and we'll start doing this every Thursday, as long as it keeps being ridiculous like it is. OU sitting at number 8, undefeated there. They go to Baylor this weekend. A win over Baylor, and again, assuming the teams ahead of them don't lose this weekend, but a win over Baylor, how many teams will they jump if they win this weekend?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And you're assuming all these teams are going to win.
Yeah, let's say the top 7 wins, then OU wins. Do they make up any ground with a win at Baylor this weekend?
I don't think so. I really don't know. Now, if they would go down there and beat them pretty bad, and let's say Michigan State may squeak one out against Maryland, they could. They're not going to jump Michigan because Michigan's going to, if they win, they'll beat Penn State.
Yep.
That's a pretty good team. Cincinnati struggles. They might jump. No, I think they'll stay about the same. I really do. They may jump Michigan State if it's the scenario that I said. So
yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people down at OU, people we listen to, media members and fans, quite frankly, as well, that think, just one win against Baylor and OU will be up there in the top 4. I don't think so. I think they might move up 1 spot. Again, that's assuming everybody wins that's ahead of us. So I think OU has work to do. I don't think OU jumps into that top 4 unless they can beat Oklahoma State.
No, I don't think so. And it doesn't matter at this point. Let's look at the thing there. 2 of those teams are done.
Yep.
So they're not 8 right now. They're really like 6.
Yeah.
They really are if they keep winning. So
Yeah.
2 of those teams are going to be out. Probably Alabama will be out. So that
Yeah.
puts them to 5. You think an undefeated Cincinnati is going to beat out an undefeated Oklahoma? No chance in hell. It's not going to happen. So Oklahoma people need to just chill. You've got your big games ahead of you. You have to win. And that's the key. Are they good enough to win?
I think most OU people are really calm right now, but I promise you guys that are listening right now, if they keep winning and they're not moving into that top 4, you will start to hear some panic as the weeks go on.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That'll be a fun one to watch. I look at it just like you. If you went out, you're going to be in it. I'm not.
Well, here's what they need to hope for too. They need to hope Oklahoma State keeps winning.
Yep.
And they're 11-1, and maybe they move up a little bit too.
Yep.
Because in order to get in there the way it's set up right now, and that could change, they're going to have to beat them twice.
Yep.
And they're going to have to do it back-to-back weeks. I'm telling you, Oklahoma's road is tough.
It is tough. Yeah, it gets tougher starting this week for sure. One last thing I'll say, if you remember the first podcast we ever did, or show we ever did, whatever you want to call it, we talked about conference realignment, and we talked about OU and Texas jumping to the SEC and what it meant for everybody. Anybody that questions Oklahoma's move, maybe look at these polls and you realize why they've done it. Sure, maybe they wouldn't be undefeated at this point if they were in the SEC. But when you're in the SEC, this shit we're talking about, you don't have to worry about it.
No.
If OU was 9-0 in the SEC, they'd be number 2 in the country.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
And even if they had one loss, it would probably be to a really good team.
Yep.
And that's the whole key to this. Alabama's loss is to a very good team, as it's turned out. It wasn't at the time, but it is now. And that's why I have a problem with Oregon. They lost to a team that lost 52-7 last week at home. And they're 3-6. Does that not count for something?
It absolutely should. And you would think in the case, if we're going to rank Michigan State below Michigan, then that would start to become the discussion as well. Is that, well, why is Oregon ahead of Ohio State?
Yeah.
I mean,
if you go to my format, this wouldn't be mattering. Okay. I don't think we could argue that they deserve to be in the top 12. They do.
Yeah.
But not numbers. I mean, come on.
Well, the big key to this is if you can't get into if it's a top 8 or a top 12, then shut the hell up. Come on. But when you limit it to 4 teams, it gets dicey.
Well, and we won't get into this much, but there's so much, you hear all these coaches, oh, that's too many games if we go to that many, if we go to that. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not for every team in the country that you're playing that many games, and you're making those kids practice anyway. Mm-hmm. They don't go home because they're in a bowl game, and the bowl game's over the Christmas break, and you don't get a Christmas break. No. So all of that is just total BS. It's total BS. And if they want to do it, they can do it. And here's the other thing. What's the difference between the next level down in Division II and Division III? Those teams all have playoffs. They all play 15 and 16 games. Can't you little panty waists do it?
At some point, you just have to wonder, why won't they accept what they are? It's a money-making deal. These are not student athletes.
Fortune.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. And like you said, do the athletes where we went to school, I mean, they're never in the playoffs, but say they were, do they not matter? Yeah. How about the basketball teams that are all over the country on a Tuesday night and a Thursday night? I mean, come on.
And the other thing, they talk about these bowl games. Well, we got to incorporate the bowl games. Yeah. You can incorporate the bowl games. And they go, well, they got to be over the holidays. Why the hell do they have to be over the holidays? If I've got a bowl game, let's throw out the Gator Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if the Gator Bowl sells out. I'm going to say they don't. All right. City of Jacksonville. Okay. If you had a playoff game on December the 4th or December the 18th, whenever that would be in this new format that they should go to, would they not sell that out? They probably would. And wouldn't the city of Jacksonville profit from all of that? And if I was running a bowl game, I wouldn't give a damn when it was played. If I sold it out and I made money and the merchants and the hotels and everybody in my city is thrilled, wouldn't that be the way to go?
It would be. Yeah, those bowl games would be much more attractive if they were part of a playoff system.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. You don't get rid of the bowls. I wouldn't at all. You set up the
No.
bowls with the it's listen, there's a million things that they'll say, oh, you can't do it. You can't. No,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can. It's super easy. It's easy.
It
We've
is.
talked about it for years.
And then the other teams that don't make this playoff, you've still got the other bowl games for them to
See,
go.
that's it. Like Bob Stoops would always say, well, I don't want to go to a playoff because the bowls would ruin the bowls. No, it wouldn't. I mean,
the bowls are horrible as it is.
Exactly, but still, like in Arkansas, that just got bowl eligible for the first time in a few years, they're gonna be just as excited to go to that bowl. I mean, come on, it's crazy. Dan says they need to go to 8 teams at the very least in a playoff setting, but that they would still find a way to screw over teams like Cincinnati. You might be right, Dan.
And there's one more thing that they've got to do if they ever go to this. Okay, here's what I hear all the time. The conference champions of the 5 power conferences automatically go to the game, or automatically in the playoffs. Okay, that's bullshit too, because in the ACC this year, there is a very definite chance that a 2 or 3 loss team is going to win the ACC title.
Yep.
So no rules. There are no rules. The 8 best teams go. And you don't worry about the lower group either. They got to play their way in just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
And I really think Cincinnati would be in if there was an 8-team playoff.
Well, if there was, Dan, I know you're kind of kidding around with that comment. I'll throw it back up there again. But if there was 8 teams, they would be in. And that's the deal, right? If there was 12, they would certainly be in. And the other thing it would do, now it would get a little dicey, but if it was a 12-team playoff, a team like Cincinnati might actually make it with 1 loss. You know what I mean? A team like UTSA, who nobody's talking about, could accidentally sneak in if it was 12.
Maybe.
So, let me ask you this. What's the best thing about March Madness?
Oh, yeah. It's the lesser schools upsetting the big boys.
Everybody talks about Cinderella. Everybody wants to see it. Sister Jean up in Loyola, Chicago. It was a major sports story.
It was.
If they ran it like they ran college football, nobody would know who that school even is. That is what makes college athletics awesome. And even if these teams might get beat a lot of years, I know some years they wouldn't have. The year Boise State beat us, they could have beat about anybody. They would have been able to compete. The Cincinnati team last year would have been able to compete.
Well, they did. They had Georgia beat.
Exactly.
And all that. I guess that doesn't account for anything either. But and again, Aaron, as you know, we've talked about this 1,000 times. It all boils down to money.
Yeah.
And the big boys are controlling this.
Yeah.
And we root for one of them. So I don't. No one's been any better. Oklahoma's benefited from this more than anybody has.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Magic had a suggestion: do the Final Four after the bowls, and that's another thing that could be interesting.
Yeah. They're never going to
better than what we have now. I think they'd still cause problems.
Well, the problem with that is, these players that would make it that far, they don't get any break whatsoever, and they wouldn't even get a week off between or to go home before the second semester starts of school. So I'm against that.
Yeah, that was dumb, Magic. Keep drinking your mimosas and watching this.
It wasn't dumb, but you gotta think about the student athlete in this. And under the format that I came up with, a lot of schools would be done by December 4th.
Yeah.
And I think if you secretly ask the players if they could go home for Christmas and have a regular Christmas break like everybody else is, they would say, hell yes, bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's the other thing is it's only affecting a few schools. 99% of the schools, it's not going to change a damn thing.
No, it's not 130 schools we're talking about here.
No, there's 8 to 12 teams that would be in it. It's not that big a deal. And if they get eliminated in the first round, well, it's the same as playing a bowl and going home. So, I mean, it's crazy, but
it is. They have no excuse.
They don't. And we could spend a whole show on this, and we would just get madder and madder as we went. So, but we will go ahead. What'd you say?
I said they have no excuse.
No, there's no excuse whatsoever. Let's get into the games, though. And we'll stick with the college theme, and we'll start tonight. There's another wacky ACC game going on tonight. Listen, there's not really good teams in the ACC this year, but the games have been a hell of a lot of fun. North Carolina, now 5-4, got that big win last week over Wake Forest. They go on the road to Pittsburgh, number 21 Pittsburgh, up now to 7-2. Pittsburgh, 6.5-point favorite. What do you think about this one?
It's going to be another shootout. I think we're looking 50-45, something like that. It'll be real exciting to watch. I was pretty impressed with North Carolina last week. Sam Howell was really good in that game, the quarterback for the Tar Heels. I have a feeling they're going to go in there and win this game. I just have a feeling they are. I don't like Pittsburgh in games like this. You know, they're just not very proven when it comes to this. I kind of think Carolina's going to win this. I think it'll be really fun. I'm kind of looking forward to watching it.
I took Carolina plus the 6.5 as well.
I think that's a good bet.
I think it'll be a hell of a game. I got word today that we're doing blinkers off early, which means I'll be able to watch this in full. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's been a hell of a game. But yeah, I'm taking North Carolina plus the 6.5 as well. I like them tonight. And Jason says the hell with the 73 is a total over under 100. It could be.
It could.
You could really score.
Yeah.
If you think they're going to combine to 100, newsflash, bet the over.
Well, let's see. North Carolina and Wake Forest had 103 last week.
Yeah. Well, no, they had 113.
Oh, that's right. I can't do math. That's right.
Yeah, it's 58. Yeah, 113. That's unbelievable.
Wow. That is.
All right, let's move one day on to Friday.
Okay.
What's that? You had something to say?
Oh, I was thinking Wake Forest and Army had 126 the other day, and that's another ACC team.
Yeah, that's right. Another ACC team, BYU and Virginia. I can't remember what they combined.
Oh, it was 66-49.
Yeah, so that was a ton of points as well. So I think the theme is, other than Clemson, by the way, which is hilarious, everybody else in the ACC can really score. So, all right, let's go on to Friday night's game, just one day later for us. Team we talked about a little bit at the top, Cincinnati. Boy, they're struggling to get impressive wins. And if that means anything, well, they're not picking up those victories, but they are winning. They're 9-0. They're up to number 5. They go on the road to South Florida, 2-7. South Florida, a team that used to be pretty decent in these ranks, not so much anymore. Cincinnati, 23-point favorite. What do you think? I don't think there's a debate they're going to win. Do they finally cover and get kind of an impressive win here?
You know, if I was coaching Cincinnati, I would have had a team meeting Sunday whenever they meet and said, guys, we got to forget about the polls. We just have to. We just got to start playing. We're not playing well. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is, if they win 52-7 at South Florida, it's not going to matter because South Florida is not going to get them any style points. It's just not. So I think it's bothering this team a little bit. I think they're pressing. The question was, do they cover? I don't know. I really don't. South Florida gave Houston all they wanted last week, and the Cougars are playing really well. They beat them by 12. Unless they got beat up a little bit, I don't think they cover tonight or Friday night. I really don't.
Yeah, they need to for sure, but you're probably right. It's going to be a little bit difficult. I think South Florida's starting to play a little bit better. They were really bad early. They haven't been quite as bad lately. I got a little tricky with this one. I went Cincinnati minus 6.5 for the first quarter. So here's my theory on this one. I think they're going to come out of the gates firing. I think they're going to be, they've heard, you need to, you're still number 5. You're not going to make it. You need to win more. I think they come out of the gate firing. The reason why I didn't go just minus 23 for the game, it's a lot of points for a team that just hasn't scored a lot of points. So I'm definitely going to go a Cincinnati minus 6.5 first quarter here. We'll see what happens with that one. But they need to get a big win. No question about it. All right, let's move on to the Saturday slate, and we'll start at Baylor as Oklahoma, number 8 at 9-0, goes to number 13 Baylor at 7-2. OU on the road here, a 5.5-point favorite. Baylor coming off a loss to TCU. I've thought about this game a lot, obviously. I know you have too. What do you think in this one?
I couldn't find anything I was really comfortable betting on in this one. I looked at team totals. I looked at the over-under. I look at the point spread. I'm scared to death going in there. I don't know if you are, but I am. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I have a feeling OU's going to play well, but I don't know. And I watched Baylor a lot last week. I wasn't real impressed with them. I've seen them twice, and both times they lost. So, I haven't really seen them win against somebody. If I was going to bet, I think Oklahoma will win by more than 5.5 if they win. So I would take them to cover, but I don't bet on my team ever. So I think it's going to. I was reading the other day, a couple of people were giving their opinions, and they think OU is going to go down there and romp them. And this was not Oklahoma people that were what I was reading. I don't think they can stop Baylor enough to slaughter them. I don't. And anytime you're starting a true freshman quarterback, even though he has been phenomenal, you still worry. So hopefully you got something better than I do to talk about on this.
I think the game goes either way. I wouldn't bet this one as far as a winner with that line either way. I like Baylor over 27.5 points. I think that's the bet to make here. I think OU, I'm not going to say they're likely, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. At the same time, they should probably win this game. They should come out and play their best game of the year. They're healthy finally for the first time on defense since about game 2 or 3. You'd think of the bye week probably helped kind of get that offense in sync more and more. I think if Caleb Williams plays well, they'll win this game. But I'm not brave enough to take 5.5. And listen, OU doesn't cover against hardly anybody. So it's hard to take him here. But Baylor over 27.5 team total, I think that one is a pretty good bet because I do think the Bears are going to get 4 touchdowns in this game.
I know when I was writing the article, I said, because Oklahoma's 34.5 team total. Yeah. And I made the comment that they're going to have to score over that to win, in my opinion.
That's my thing. I can see. I don't necessarily. I'm trying to say the right way to say, or the easiest way to say, I totally agree. Like, I don't think they can win this game, 17-10. I think they're going to have to win, 41-31,
something like that,
45-34, something like that, So I definitely think the Baylor gets over that 27.5.
Yeah, they did get a huge break in this game's at 11 o'clock instead of 6:30.
Yep.
And that's going to help because, it's still going to be nuts. But we've been to 11 o'clock games compared to 6:30 at OU, and there's no comparison to the crowd. So that's a big break.
They did get a huge break with that for sure. And Baylor at night against OU, it usually is pretty nuts. We'll move on. New Mexico State, Alabama. I'm not going to talk about that one. That should be an easy win. I think we have better games to talk about. How about this one? Michigan goes to Penn State. I think this one's really interesting. Penn State 6-3. They've been a little disappointing after a pretty good start. Michigan seemingly has everything right in front of them. They still kind of control their own destiny. Their big games are left starting here. They're 8-1. They're number 6. They're a 1.5-point favorite. Can they get the road win at Penn State this week?
I think so. I think they're better than Penn State. They should be undefeated. They should have beat Michigan State. They let that game get away from them. I think if they beat Penn State, I think they're going to beat Ohio State. I really do. I think it's their year to do it. And I don't know why I'm saying that because they haven't done it under Harbaugh since he's been there. Not real high on Ohio State. So this is a huge one for them. Again, 11 o'clock game. That's good for Michigan. Penn State's probably the best 6-3 team in the country. They've got the one clunker at Illinois, but the Iowa game, they let get away from them.
Yeah.
And then there's no disgrace to lose to Ohio State in Columbus. So is this going to be their big game of the year right here? Penn State, is this, they've got them, they got Michigan State, but this is the biggest one of the two. Is this their big one for the year? It could be. I think the line I would take on this one, I would go the over under, and I would go under the 48.5. I see a 23-17, 23-21 type game. But if you like Michigan, take them. Or if you like Penn State, take them. The point spread's only 1.5. So, like, if you like Michigan, they're probably going to win by more than 2.
Yep.
So
I'm thinking upset. I think Penn State gets them. And I think you made the point that I was going to drive home, and I don't even have to do it now. I think this is kind of a save the season type game. We talked about this with North Carolina when they beat Wake Forest. Just a game. It's like, okay, we can really rally the troops here. We've had a season that's been kind of disappointing, but a big win here would kind of make it better. I like Penn State and upset. As far as the bet, I'm with you, under 48.5. I think this will be a slugfest. A good old-fashioned 11 o'clock Big Ten game. Rain is in the forecast here. I mean, it's going to feel like Big Ten football if that forecast is happening. So, I went Penn State, but under the 48.5 as well. All right, Mississippi State goes to Auburn. A couple of teams that are kind of flailing right now. Mississippi State 5-4. Auburn is number 17, but they're 6-3. They got romped last week against Texas A&M. Do the Tigers bounce back, or does Mississippi State get an upset win here?
This is a one that's tough to do too. Mississippi State loses games every week like they did at Arkansas. I don't think it'll bother them. That was a heartbreaking loss. They played pretty well. Auburn was awful. They're at home. I don't know if they cover that 5.5 though. I think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be close.
This is another one I took a team total. I didn't like that 5.5 point spread at all. I'm with you. I think Auburn could win, fairly similar to how Arkansas beat Mississippi State last week. But I do think Auburn goes over 27.5 points. So that was my pick on this.
Well, I'll say this. If they do, I think they're going to win. Pretty easy.
I don't know. I could see him winning just like Arkansas did last week, 31-28 and not covering,
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. Mississippi State, they lost that game at Arkansas, but they missed 3 field goals. So
they did.
They could have won it. So we'll see what happens with that. I think it's an interesting game as far as they're going to be competitive, but what these teams really are, they're just okay, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on. Northwestern, Wisconsin. We will skip that one. We'll skip Utah and Arizona. I don't think anybody's fired up for either one of those. This one, I don't think anybody thinks the result is in doubt. But number one, Georgia, now 9-0. They go to Tennessee at 5-4. Tennessee picked up a big win against Kentucky last week. Listen, Georgia's a 20-point favorite. I don't think anybody really thinks Georgia's going to go to Tennessee and lose. I'll ask you, though, you've watched a lot of Tennessee. Do you think Tennessee can make this competitive?
Well, no, I don't. Everybody's thinking Tennessee's got a great offense, and they're better than most of the teams Georgia has played. They got extremely lucky last week, and they made a lot of big plays, and Kentucky just choked that game away. I think it's interesting. The line is 20. I would think it would have been a little higher than that, really. The line I'm going to take, and Georgia has beat me 4 times. 4 times they have beat me. And they're going to probably do it 5 this time, because I'm taking Tennessee under 17.5 points. I don't know if they score 18 points in this game. I don't know.
See, I think you're right. I kind of think the Tennessee offense is going to get a different kind of test this time around. Yeah. I think they're going to get manhandled up front. I don't know. It's at Tennessee. Maybe they get lucky and get a few more points than what you think. I don't hate what you've bet there. I don't think that's too bad. I'm going to go ahead and just take Georgia minus the 20. I think it's going to be a little bit more lopsided than that. But, I think Tennessee they're good enough to keep it close for a half maybe. And then it's going to go down. Boy, that crowd is going to be rocking.
And it'll be a hiccup. Now that's another, what's that, 2:30 game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to be ready for that. I just don't think they're good enough.
Nope.
I think Heupel's done a hell of a job to get them to 5-4.
Yeah, if you look at what Tennessee was last year and all the players they lost, I kind of thought they would be really, really bad this year.
Too.
They're not horrible. They're not horrible. They're probably going to be a 7-5 team.
Yep.
Say they go to a bowl and win it. 8-5 would be a good first year there.
No
for
kidding.
sure. All right, let's go Purdue, Ohio State next. Boy, Purdue, they've knocked off top 5 teams twice this year. They go on the road this week to Ohio State, number 4 in the country. Like I said, 8-1. Ohio State, man, 21-point favorite. Let's remember this team has not looked very impressive the last 2 weeks against Penn State and Nebraska. Purdue comes in here hot. I think they can keep it closer than 21. What do you think?
Well, there's 2 things on this game that I have, and I still might do it. I've got one bet left that I'm really hinging on and are trying to decide on. In this one, I watched Purdue last week. The thing that bothers me is they've upset 2 teams. Can they keep this up? I'm a little worried that the bubble burst this week, but not seen much out of Ohio State that warrants this being a 21-point game. They've beat some crappy teams and by more than 21, but when they've played decent teams, they haven't done it. 2 things stands out. One of them is the 21, and the other is 42.5 team total for Ohio State. And I'm not sure they're going to get that either. I don't think there's any doubt they're going to win. I don't think Purdue's going to go in there and upset them.
No.
If the game was in Purdue, it'd be maybe a little different story. So I think Ohio State's going to win. The question is going to be, can they cover? And
I don't know.
I'm going to go. I don't think they'll cover, but I think they might win 38-21, something like that.
21 points is a lot for a team that hadn't looked very good. That's
right.
The whole deal about it. So I'm with you. I think Purdue plus the 21 makes a little bit of sense here. The only thing I'm worried about, this offense is a lot better, I think, than what the 2 teams that they beat in Iowa and Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State's not bad, but they're kind of one-dimensional. So that's kind of the worry. I'm on the fence. This is one I might skip when it's all said and done, because it's just like, yeah, you could, like I said, if you think Ohio State's going to win 38-21, you don't feel great about betting Purdue plus 21.
That's true.
If you thought the score was going to be 31-24, well, then sure, I'm taking Purdue, but
I like the 42.5 better, the under 42.5. If I'm going to do one, that would be the one I would go.
Well, and you just look at how they've been playing here the last few weeks. They're not getting that number, so that's okay. I'll say that I agree with you on that. I think that's probably the quote unquote safest bet. There is no such thing, but that's the safest, we'll say. All right, let's move on to what could be. Hey, listen, if it's 2:30, or maybe you live on the East Coast and it's 3:30, late. Maybe you live where Magic is on the West Coast and it's 12:30. But either way, if you're looking to take a nap, turn on Minnesota and Iowa on the Big Ten Network. Iowa's a 5-point favorite. They won last week, so that was good. Minnesota, you never know. They might lose to a high school team one week. You just never know. They are 6-3, though. God, I mean, what do you think of this game?
I can't explain Minnesota at all. I thought they were playing really well and would come into this game 7-2. And God, then they score 6 points against Illinois at home. It's unexplainable.
Yep.
So I don't know where they're at. I know where Iowa's at. They're the same place where they always are at. If they're going to win, it's going to be 20-17, something like that. So we know where they are. The line is 5. Iowa by 5. That's quite a bit. And it had been 6 at one time. The line I'm going to take on this, I think Iowa might win, but Minnesota's team total is 14.5. So they scored 6 last week against Illinois. I don't know why I'm going here, but I'm going to take Minnesota over 14.5 and hope I get that one right.
I took the same thing, Minnesota over 14.5. If I had to bet the line, I would go Minnesota plus the 5 too, because that's the thing. Even if Minnesota would have won 15-14 last week against Illinois, we would be on Minnesota this week. We just would.
I think so.
They were trending much better than Iowa.
Yes.
So I'm not going to let 1 week kind of ruin it. Minnesota's beaten some teams, this year that are probably just as good as Iowa, to put it bluntly. So, yeah, I'm going to go Minnesota over 14.5 plus the 5. I think they bounce back this week. Let's hope. All right, Southern Miss and Texas San Antonio. We'll skip that one. Michigan State, they're still number 7. They host Maryland. A 13-point favorite for Michigan State. Well, just quickly, what do you think about this one? Can they bounce back?
I think so. I think they will. They were due to lose the game, and they did. Maryland's not very good. 13, that's iffy, for a team like Michigan State. They don't beat anybody too bad. So I would stay away from that, I think. they're going to win. But 13, I don't know. Yeah, they're iffy.
I think Michigan State will rebound. I really do.
Yeah, I think they will too. But
and now the pressure's off of them again. See, I think that's the key for a school like that. So
yeah.
All right, big game for Texas A&M. We talked about it. They've still got an outside shot to get in this SEC championship game. They're going to need some help. Somebody's going to have to beat Alabama. They're number 11 now. They're 7-2. They go to Ole Miss, number 15. They're 7-2. This is going to be a hell of a game. I'm glad this game's at night where I can watch it and not during our game. Who do you got here, A&M or Ole Miss?
Well, I watched Ole Miss a lot last week against Liberty because I had a bet in that game.
Yep.
And Ole Miss's offense was not very good. And they have not been putting up the points that they did earlier in the season. The quarterback is hurt. He's playing hurt. So they're not running him like they did. They're kind of trying to protect him a little bit. And they had a lot of chances to blow Liberty out. They played real well the first half. I think it was like 27-0 at the half or something like that. And then the second half, they did absolutely nothing on offense, and they had plenty of chances and got outplayed a lot. A&M is playing very well, and defensively, they're as good as anybody, with the exception of Georgia. So I think they can shut them down. The question is, can they score? And the Mississippi defense is not awful. It's not great, but the A&M offense isn't very good either. So this is a toughie. I like the line. I think A&M's going to win, and I think that line's just about right. So it's 2.5. I'll take A&M to cover that.
I did too. I took the Aggies minus 2.5. I just kind of think as much as Ole Miss is whatever you want to call them, improved or getting better or almost there, I think A&M's a little bit further ahead of schedule than Ole Miss. I think A&M gets it done here as well. It's going to be a hell of a game.
Heck of a game.
I'm very excited for it. All right, let's go on here. Notre Dame, that's a team that's very, very quiet, right? Very quietly just winning games. They got Virginia. This should be another high-scoring affair. Virginia's got a great offense. Notre Dame, this kind of reminds me of when they played North Carolina a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Notre Dame, 5.5-point favorite. Can they cover on the road against Virginia?
Very tricky game for the Irish. Very tricky. Virginia's had 2 weeks to get ready. This is their bowl game. I mean, this is their biggie. You knock off Notre Dame. Anybody, I don't care who you are. You knock off Notre Dame. That's a great win. You hit the nail on the head. North Carolina game all over, and they beat them like 44-34. I envision kind of the same type of score. 5.5. That's right there again. Vegas does it to us all the time. They hit it right on the head, really. Yeah. I think they're going to win. I think they're better than Virginia, and I think they're going to cover. But I wouldn't bet much on it. That's for sure.
I have no idea who will win the game. I know they're going over 64 points. I'm going over that number of 64. It's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. I think Notre Dame wins it in the end.
I was writing the article, and I've never heard of Virginia's quarterback. And I follow football pretty much. His statistics are unbelievable. He's averaging over 409 passing yards a game.
Yep.
And that's, I don't care who you play against. That's pretty good. So
fantastic. Yeah. I've watched him, believe it or not, like 4 times this year.
Really?
Just have been on when I've been watching TV. Yeah, he just throws up and down the field. Now, when I watch him, they usually aren't playing anybody any good. So that could be part of it. Yeah. We'll see what he does against Notre Dame. Obviously a decent team. So see what happens there. Hey, speaking of points, how about North Carolina State going to Wake Forest? This is another game. Does it mean anything as far as national, scene? No. Does it mean something ACC? Absolutely. Yes, it does. Does that really matter? I don't know, but it's going to be a hell of a game, right? Another entertaining matchup. Yeah. Wake Forest, a 2-point favorite here at home. Who you got here?
Well, one thing I do want to point out, a lot of people don't realize that game last week with North Carolina was a non-conference game.
Correct. Yep.
What a weird thing that was. So it didn't count on the conference schedule for Wake Forest, so they're still undefeated. They're playing their main competition to win that side of the conference in North Carolina State. This will be a fun one, like you said. The only difference is next to Clemson, North Carolina State's got the best defense in the ACC. So the point total is low, I think. If you'll see, it's 66.5. And the team total for Wake Forest is 33.5, which is pretty low. So they're giving North Carolina State a lot of credit for their defense. But I've seen them give up some points in some games. So this will be a really good one. I kind of like Wake Forest, just rooting for them because they're different. It's different to root for them. I'm pulling for them. I think they're going to rebound. I think they're going to cover that. Again, 2 points. If you like them, take them.
Yep. Listen, I think the point total is too good to be true. I took Wake Forest over 33.5. It's like 5 touchdowns for Wake Forest. Yeah, they can do that. So
do that.
I took over 33.5 for Wake Forest in this game. I'm with you. I think they're going to win as well. I think they bounce back. Listen, they went out there and they gave up a ton of points. And I'm sure if you're a Wake Forest fan, you're kind of pissed off. But to me, it's like shit. They played good enough to win last week. They didn't choke or anything like that.
No.
They're Wake Forest. They're not that good. That's all it boils down to. All right, a couple more here before we get into the NFL real quick. Arkansas, they're back into the top 25, right at number 25 at 6-3 after beating Mississippi State last weekend. Now they go to LSU. LSU's 4-5. They're struggling big time, but they could have beaten Alabama very easily. Did they leave it all on the field last week is the problem. Arkansas, 2.5-point favorite here. Tough game to predict, in my opinion. What do you think?
Almost impossible.
Yeah.
It really is. I think LSU left it all on the field at Alabama. Now, I don't live in the state of Arkansas, but I do know this is a pretty big rivalry between these two. Of course, everybody hates LSU, so everybody wants to beat them. How much does it mean to them? I don't. That's the thing we don't know. Does this mean a lot to them? They lost a game they could have won, which would have made their season. So they know the coach is gone. I just can't see them getting back ready to go. This game means the world to the Razorbacks.
Yep.
I mean, this will give them 7. They still got Missouri, who they should beat. That's 8. And they're probably going to beat Alabama, but they could give them a game. So they're looking at a great bowl game if they win this one. We said last week, the way the Arkansas travels, their fans, they're going to get a good bowl game with an 8-4 record. Mm-hmm. Again, look at the line, 2.5. If you think Arkansas is going to win, bet that thing because they're probably going to cover that. So I'm just a little afraid the Hogs might choke. I hate to say that, but I'm just a little afraid. I think they're going to win, though.
I went Arkansas -2.5, and our pessimistic Razorback fan Russ chimes in and says, "Y'all ready for this? Hogs -2.5." He's picking the Razorbacks as well. That makes me feel really good because he always picks against them. So,
well, I've got them too. That's another thing I'm thinking about betting. I've got 3 or 4 things here I'm wrestling around. I hope it comes to me before we have to make the bet. But all signs say it's their time to beat them down there. I don't think it'll bother Arkansas to play down there. They've played well at LSU before. Yeah. And this, they're going to be ready. That's not a question.
Yep.
And they may be better than LSU. That's the other thing.
Well, that's the other thing. Even all things being equal, how good is LSU? I'm not sure. So, I'm with you. I think Arkansas can get the job done there for sure. I'm going to take the Hogs -2.5. All right. We got 3 ranked teams left here. We're only going to talk about TCU, Oklahoma State. I don't think we need to talk about Washington, Oregon, or Nevada, San Diego State. TCU at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, number 10 in the country now. TCU fires Gary Patterson and then beats Baylor last week. New quarterback Chandler Morris. Can he work his magic in Stillwater on Saturday night?
Well, I tell you what, I'm impressed with Oklahoma State, and I think the fact it's a night game helps them.
Yeah,
it helps them. Their crowd will be there. That'll be alive. They are in the top 10 in the playoff thing now, which means something to them. The only thing that I like in this game, Oklahoma State doesn't score a lot of points, and their team total for them is 34.5. I'm not sure they get that because they haven't in hardly any games this year. 13, I think that line's reasonable. I think A&M got their win last week, and again, hard to predict. We've only seen this kid play 1 week. He was really good.
Yeah,
they got players. So the line's a little bit up there for me. I think Oklahoma State's going to win. I'm not sure they're going to get to 35 points, though.
Gosh, this game was tough for me to find something that I really liked.
Yeah.
In the end, I went Oklahoma State minus 13. I've seen, and so have you, TCU in person. They're not very good. And what happened last week, it is what it is, right? Like they won, it was big, but I just think Oklahoma State's too good. I think their defense will be able to stop TCU enough. We've seen that TCU defense. It's pretty bad. So I'm going to go with Cowboys minus the 13, but not one I'm really excited for either way. So with that, we will move on to the NFL. We'll transition over to the NFL. We'll talk about the game going on tonight. Interesting game, I would say. The Ravens try to keep things going. They're now 6-2. Trying to stay above atop, I should say, the AFC North. They go to Miami, who's 2-7. You might look at that and say, well, this isn't going to be much of a game. Let's remember, the Ravens, pretty much every game is an interesting game for them. They never really blow anybody out. They're a 7.5-point favorite here. What do you think about this Thursday night game?
Well, before we get into that, I've got to answer Isaac's question here about the Bears on Monday night, because I doubt if we're going to talk about the Bears today.
Right.
So let's get that out of the way. No, Isaac, I was very mad at the Bears because I had Pittsburgh 6.5-point favorites, and I had that as my lock of the week, and the Bears blew it. So I was very impressed with the Bears, though, and I tell you what I did see. Justin Field played a great game, and it looks like he's starting to come around a little bit. So that's enough about the Bears. Anyway, Ravens-Dolphins. Okay, I wouldn't bet the Ravens point spread ever. No, I just wouldn't. Here's the thing. How are they going to come out and play? I mean, are they going to be ready? Are they going to overlook the Dolphins like some of these other teams have overlooked these lesser opponents the last week or so? Or are they going to be ready? And we know the Dolphins are not very good. So I don't know if the true Ravens team shows up. This should be a laugher, but I don't know. The line I like in this one is Miami's 20.5, and they've only scored that many points, 20 or over, 21 or over, in 2 games out of the 9 this year. So I'm going to play the law of average, or not the law of averages, but logic says they're not going to score that many. So that's the line I like. Miami under 20.5.
And I'm going to go Baltimore over 27.5. So I think
let's get it. All right.
That combined thing is, hey, if you like either one of those predictions by us, then you probably like the Baltimore Ravens minus 7.5. The other news in this game,
wouldn't you think if they go over 27.5, they're going to cover 7.5 points?
Too? I would hope so, but they're the Ravens, so I don't know.
That's right.
But yeah, I would definitely hope so. The other news to kind of follow here: make sure Tua is playing before you bet this game, or make sure you know his status. I should say, Tua right now still listed as questionable on ESPN. So we'll see what happens there. If Jacoby Brissett is playing, take the Ravens. He is awful.
And take the minus 20.5 too.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if Tua plays, he's not, I'm not like a big Tua fan, but he's not terrible like Brissett. So keep an eye on that injury report. That's going to be the big thing. I'm sure that'll be out in a couple, 2-3 hours. I think we'll know the status of Tua. So make sure to keep an eye on that. All right, let's move on to the Sunday games. We'll talk about this one for sure. The Falcons go on the road after beating the Saints. They go on the road this week to Dallas, who's just inexplicable loss to Denver. Got blown out last week at home against Denver. Can the Cowboys bounce back? They're 9-point favorites in this game, despite that game last week.
Well, they're 9 points better than Atlanta, but I'm scared of it. The line a little bit. That's a big line in the NFL. 9 points. You know they have heard about that game all week long down in Dallas. So they're either going to come out and prove different or they're going to be feeling pressure. And Atlanta has very little pressure on them. I mean, a win would be fantastic for them. So I'm staying away from this game completely. I don't like Dallas. I've seen Dallas do this before. I need to see a good game out of them before I get back on the bandwagon.
Kind of with you. Yeah, I do think Dallas is going to rebound and score in this game. I went Dallas over 30.5. I just think the offense plays a lot better this week. But
if they get over 30.5, they're going to cover.
I don't know if that's accurate. I could see Atlanta scoring some points in this game. I could see it kind of getting into a shootout where it's kind of a last drive to determine the spread. I think Cowboys win, but I think Atlanta's got a shot to keep it a little closer than you might think, even if the Cowboys do hit that over 30.5 number.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to this one. You kind of set off there. You think an upset might be brewing in Tennessee this week. The Saints go on the road. Saints 5-3. They go on the road to play the Titans at 7-2. Titans are a 3-point favorite. Tell us why you think an upset might be brewing in Tennessee.
Well, when I was writing the article, I did a little bit of research. I first of all, I think New Orleans might be better off with this quarterback than they were with Winston. Mm-hmm. They didn't lose the game last week because he played bad. Trevor Siemian put up some really good numbers. So that's not why they lost. Here's the deal with Tennessee, and I'm a Tennessee fan. I really like them a lot, but I got to looking at the statistics of the game against the Rams, and the Titans had 194 yards total yards, that's not good for a pro team. And the kicker is this: they only had 69 yards rushing. Now, we know part of that is because Derrick Henry's missing. Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, is a defensive whiz kid. He's going to devise a defense that's going to make Tannehill beat him. So I'm picking the Saints in an upset this week. I might be wrong, but I'm still high on Tennessee. I just think it's gonna come back and bite them this week. Now, I know you're feeling totally different, and that's fine. I just kind of have a feeling about this one.
I don't necessarily feel like it's a lock that the Titans are going to win, but they've been my team all year with these overs. I bet they're over every week, and they get it every week. So this week, the Tennessee Titans team total is 23.5. I'm going over it. And I don't really give a damn if the Saints beat them. That's great. Just get to 24 points, Tennessee. That's all I want.
I hope we both. I hope you're right, and the Saints get like 30, and we both get it. Great.
That would be great. And Dan chimes in. He loves the Saints as well this week. Dan, a pretty good football bettor, so that's a good sign for Papa Dude. Maybe a bad sign for me because I don't know. I think if the Saints cover that or beat them, Tennessee may be under that total. But listen, I've rode them all year. They've done well for me all year. So if they lose this week, well, it is what it is. But I'll stick with my Titans, especially at home, to get to 24 points. Jaguars and Colts, good news is if you need an app on Sunday, that's the game to turn on. And we'll go on to the Browns and the Patriots. The Browns got a big win minus OBJ last week. They're now 5-4. But boy, now they go to New England to take on the 5-4 Patriots. This is a massive game. The winner is looking good for the playoffs. The loser could still make the playoffs, but the work's a little bit tougher here. New England, a 2.5-point favorite. I'm looking forward to this one. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, has any team had more question marks going into games this year than the Cleveland Browns? They've had injury problems, and now they got COVID problems. Mm-hmm. And as we are talking, we don't know whether Nick Chubb's going to play or not. And I would say he's not.
He's listed as doubtful.
Right. And the way I understand it, he is vaccinated.
Yes.
So he has COVID and he is vaccinated. Is that right?
Yes, he has COVID. He is vaccinated. He needs 2 negative tests in a row to play.
Within 24 hours of each other.
Correct. And he also, even if he was to get those negative tests, he is not practicing.
So
say he gets eligible tomorrow. Just
right.
That means he'll have 1 day to practice with the team. But go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to use common sense and say when you're betting this, you better keep in mind he's not going to play.
I would assume he was not going to play. Yeah,
I would too. I would not be banking on him playing. So you got to look at the Browns and say, okay, can they win the game without him? He was a major factor in what they did last week against the Bengals. And when he's playing well, when Chubb has a good game, Cleveland's hard to beat. Now, the kid that took his place in the Denver game, D'Ernest Johnson, was great. But this isn't Denver. They're playing.
No.
So they're going to make the other Cleveland players beat them. That's what they're going to do. So I think New England's playing better than anybody or just as good as anybody in the AFC. Or did I say Denver?
No, you said New England.
New England. Okay. 2.5. That's gone up. That line has gone up. Or it was 1.5.
Yep.
And now it's 2.5, which that's the Chubb thing being factored in. I still think I like New England in this one. I think they're going to win it. I might have taken Cleveland if I thought Chubb was going to play, but I think the Patriots are on a roll, and I think they're going to cover.
All comes down to the uniform. One uniform says Patriots, the other says Browns. In a close game, I'll take the Patriots. I'm totally with you on that one. Yeah, Russ says, hey, the Pats are 1-4 at home. Does that factor in at all?
That's something to think about, but no. I like them at home.
I do too. I think that's just kind of something to happen. You got to remember they played a lot of home games early, and they weren't playing as well.
And 2 of those losses are against Dallas and Tampa Bay, and they could have won both of those games. So
they lost.
They gave the other ones away too.
They lost to Miami opening week in a game they should have won. So I mean, I get it. They're still 1-4. I think they go to 2-4. I think they get the job done.
Yeah.
Over the Browns. The Bills. Do you think the Bills rebound after that head-scratching loss? Another shitty team this week, the Jets, but it's on the road. The Bills are a 12-point favorite. I mean, they got to rebound, right?
No, they got to, but are they going to cover 12? I wouldn't bet it. I just wouldn't.
I think them losing last week makes them more likely to cover this week because I think they probably practiced their ass off this week getting ready for this game. I took the Bills over 30.5 points. I think their offense bounces back. Move on. Do we need to talk about the Lions and the Steelers for Magic? So it's good news. Magic likes the Steelers too. So that's the good news for him.
He does? Okay.
I mean, do the Lions have any shot?
No.
Okay. We'll move on. I don't think they do either. We'll move on. Tampa goes to Washington. I don't think that's going to be a competitive game. Tampa's only a 9.5-point favorite, though. Is that surprising to you?
Yeah, they've been winning some games fairly close. So, yeah, it's a little bit. It's on the road. They're coming off a loss. Yeah, a little bit. I think they cover that.
I kind of think they do, too. I think that's a little bit low. Washington, one of the worst teams in the league this year. But I think Tampa will cover that 9.5. The Panthers, they go on the road. By the way, Cam Newton going back to the Panthers. Don't know if you heard that one, but he's back. I don't know if that's going to matter this week. Kyler Murray looks like he's going to play this week, by the way. Arizona, a 10.5-point favorite at home against Panthers. I don't know. It's a lot of points in the NFL. Do you bet it? Do they cover? And it's like, yeah, we can find better games to bet on.
Well, it came out at 9 to begin with. And then the news broke that Darnold was out, and now it's up to 10.5. It was 10 this morning, and it's up to 10.5 now. That's too many points for me. You know, the Cardinals are coming off a huge win at San Francisco. I could see them overlooking this a little bit. I'd give them a better chance if Darnold was playing because then they would probably have their minds in it a little bit more. So I would stay away from it. I would really like to bet it, but I would stay away from it.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from it too. I don't like the 10.5. PJ Walker for Carolina, he's not terrible as a backup. I think he might have a decent game here, but yeah, I'm staying away completely. There's better ones to bet, including this game. I think the Vikings go to Los Angeles. The Chargers are just a 3-point favorite. I think they should be a lot more than that. What's your take on this one?
Well, I want to get this in while it is 3 because Minnesota's got COVID problems big time.
Bet it now. Yep.
Yeah, they got 29 people that have been exposed, including the head coach. I would have bet it anyway because I just don't see how the Vikings can keep playing after losing these tough games like they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all over the Chargers and the 3. I think they're going to cover this easy.
I think they are too, and I'm over 27.5 team total for the Chargers. I think they definitely get over that in this game. Russ disagrees. He says no. I think he's just a big Vikings fan, so we'll see if they can turn around for you, Russ. They have not been good lately. By the way, Dan thinks the Lions will cover against the Steelers. I want to hear that theory. That's an interesting one.
They might. I mean, Pittsburgh. God, I was mad at them.
Here I was, Dan. I was bragging on you. I called you smart, and then you said that. I'm kidding. And if you have an explanation, I'll be sure to post it before we get on the air here. Eagles and the Broncos. This is kind of an interesting game all of a sudden because if the Broncos can win this one, they're sitting there at 6-4. I still don't think they're very good. They're a 2.5-point favorite over the Eagles. I don't even know what the Eagles are going to do. Every time I count them out, they play a decent game. What do you think here with the Eagles?
They're going to play hard. I'll tell you that. You
think they'll beat them?
They sure could. I wouldn't bet a nickel on Denver.
Don't you look at these two teams? It's like they're pretty comparable, really.
Oh, yeah. The Eagles have played some better teams. They've played a lot of good teams. If that was in Philly, they might be favored. They might.
Yeah.
That's a huge game for Denver. They get to 6-4. Well, that's what it's nothing to sneeze at. But no, I wouldn't bet it. I don't think.
I took Philly when it was at +3. They were +3. Now it's 2.5. I'll stick with Philly. I think they'll pull it up here. Denver's such a phony 5-4. I don't know. I just think the Eagles might beat them here. We'll move on. We got 3 games left here. The Seattle Seahawks go on the road this weekend to take on the Packers. Good news for Seahawks fans. Russell Wilson is supposedly back this week. It looks like he's going to play. Good news for Packers fans. The jerk really won't come out and say it, but it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is going to play. He's kind of being a little asshole about it, but it seems like he's going to play. A 3-point favorite for Green Bay. I don't like how big of a distraction has the whole Aaron Rodgers COVID thing been? I think that's the biggest question mark.
I think this is a sleeper game.
Yep.
And if you got some money you want to just take a shot at, you take Seattle in this game. They've had a week off to kind of collect things. They got Wilson back. They're pretty damn good for 3-5. They're not a bad team. The Green Bay thing has got to be a mess. It's got to be. You don't know how the players feel. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The thing that would bother me if I'm a Packers fan is Aaron Rodgers is running the team. It's what it sounds like. It's not. They're not asking the team, hey, is he going to play or not? They're asking him.
Yeah.
And he can't practice, right?
Right.
So he's kind of old. What kind of shape's he going to be? He's been out 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. No running, no cardio for 2 weeks. Can't be around anybody. I think this is an upset written all over it. I really do. I think Seattle might win this game. And we're just going to have to see. Green Bay's one of those funny teams. They win games you don't think they're going to.
Well, I will take Aaron Rodgers any day over Jordan Love. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah.
Even if Rodgers hasn't practiced for 2 months, I'll take him.
One lung, I would take him.
I really, really believe the Seahawks will win this game as well.
Yeah. Well,
the other thing is they're desperate. They need a win.
They do, and they're pretty good.
And
the line to take is Green Bay 27.5. Go under that.
Yeah. I mean, I toyed with that one way or the other, and I ended up just saying, well, I think the Seahawks will win. And I took that. So, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot of playable options here if you think Green Bay's not going to play all that well. So the explanation from Dan says the Steelers are the worst 5-3 team ever. Lions play hard for their coach every week. And then Russ chimed in and said they're the worst 11-0 team last year, too, talking about the Steelers. And that's both could be accurate.
Can't disagree.
Yeah. So, but the Lions are still the Lions.
I don't think the Lions play hard every week, but
you might fast forward to when they played the Eagles a couple weeks ago.
That's what I was thinking about. So
that would be my argument there. Martin chimes in and he says he's taking Seahawks in the money line, which that's I think we're sitting here agreeing. I think you're right, Martin. I think this could be an upsetter. All right. Speaking of upsets, let's see what will happen here. The Sunday night football game in Las Vegas. The Raiders host the Chiefs in a absolutely monster game for the AFC West. Raiders are 5-3. Chiefs are 5-4. The Chiefs, a 2.5-point favorite here. This is a monster one. The Las Vegas could really do everybody a big favor if they could win this one. Everybody in the AFC West. What do you think about this game?
Well, I think the line is the Chiefs' reputation offensively against the Raiders' futility in these kind of games in the last few years. I think that's what it amounts to. So I did a lot of analyzing on this one too. And boy, I tell you, the Chiefs offense has scored 36 points in the last 3 games put together. Did you ever think you'd see a statistic like that?
No.
It's 12 points per game. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so they've got huge problems. But, lost in all of this is their defense is getting a little better. They've only given up 64 points in their last 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good in the NFL. So their defense is playing better. They can just get their offense rolling, but that's a big if. So 2.5-point favorite. I'm doing my best to jinx it for the Chiefs. I'm trying to get so I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover this.
Wouldn't surprise me either way here. I think this is a total toss-up game. Believe it or not, even when the Chiefs have been really, really good and the Raiders haven't, this is usually a good game. It's a rivalry game. The Raiders usually play them tough. The Raiders went into Kansas City and beat them last year. So it's a tough game. I think it's going to be fairly high scoring. I took the Raiders over 24.5 on their team total. I think they get over 24.5 here. I think it's going to be a 31-28, type of game. Who makes the field goal and who doesn't? I think it's what it's going to come down to. If you made me bet, I think I'm with you. I would take the Chiefs minus the 2.5. But thankfully, we're going to go with the team total of 24.5, and then whoever wins. That's fine. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. All right, one last one. The Monday Night Football game. We'll go over it just a little bit here, and then we'll do it on Monday as well, the Monday show. The Rams coming off a bad loss last week to the Titans. Well, it's really, I shouldn't say that. It's not a bad loss, but it was an unexpected one with Derrick Henry out. They're going to try to get right this week to going up against the 49ers, who are 3-5 and really struggling. Rams are only a 4-point favorite, though, in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that line, aren't you?
Yep.
I mean, the 49ers played a game last week against Arizona without Kyler Murray in a game they had to win, and it wasn't even close. So I'm really surprised at that line. If the Rams are ready to play, I just don't think the Niners are as good as people think they are.
Mm-mm.
So I would take the Rams to cover that. I think if they're ready to play, and I think they're going to be, I think they overlooked Tennessee, or just kind of thought it was going to be easy with Henry out and weren't ready. I think they're going to be ready for this one. So I would take the Rams to cover.
I think the Rams bounce back in a big way. I think they come in really, really motivated. It's Monday Night Football. I think that helps the Rams. If they were kind of unmotivated, that would help them. I went with the Rams over 27.5 points. I think the Rams get that for sure.
Well, let me throw this out here at you.
Okay.
Stafford was awful last week.
Uh-huh.
What if he's awful again this week? What's he going to start hearing?
Yeah, meaning if he's going to start declining and he couldn't handle it because they were good and
Huge game for him.
That narrative will start if that happens. There's no doubt. The media is
they're just waiting.
It's quite hysterical. One game is the end of the world, and any loss is always blamed on the quarterback. So,
and they hate him. So they're just wanting him to crash because they didn't think he would do very well out there. So it'll start. Oh God, I hope it doesn't happen for his sake.
I know. Me too. Before we get to our top 5, Martin chimes in. Did you guys play my 14 parlay I gave you Monday at Cash? I do know at Cash. I was following it for you there, Martin. I did not play it though, unfortunately. So, I was too tired to even look at the NBA on Monday. Jason says he's going. Are you going to the Rams 49ers or are you going to the Chiefs Raiders? And we were talking kind of both of them when you mentioned that. So we'll see which game you get to go to. And Russ says, hey, the Rams easy in this one. I think we kind of agree. All right. It's top 5 time. You've got 5 teams. Are you going with the 5 that you set before the show?
Throw them up there and let me see what they are.
Well, you were debating about doing Tennessee.
What was the one we were just talking about? I was thinking about changing. I know what it is. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
I'm going to definitely stay with the Chargers. That's my lock of the week.
Okay.
How about this next one? Now this is how stupid I am. I'm going with a 1-8 team, the Tulane Green Wave. What in the hell is a Green Wave? Anyway, I'm going to go with them to get their second one of the year and beat Tulsa. So I got Tulane +3. I got the Minnesota Golden Gophers over 14.5, the Dolphins under 20.5, and I want you to change that Tennessee one.
Okay.
I'm going to do Green Bay under 27.5.
Green Bay under 27.5. I'll put that up there now. Okay.
All right.
That's the 5 for you this week. I haven't analyzed the Tulane Tulsa game, believe it or not, but I don't. That's a wild one.
Hey, I cover them all. I was gonna do. You want another one? I wanted.
Go ahead.
UNLV got their first win in like 2 years.
Yep.
Last week, I was gonna bet them.
Who are they playing?
We got a Y at Vegas.
What's the line on it?
3.5, I think.
They're underdogs.
Yes.
I would take them. Here's why. I follow all of them. I watch all the scores, everything, right?
Yep.
They're close to winning
games
this year.
Yeah.
They are
number 2.
So maybe.
By the way, Ohio, which was in my bottom 10,
yeah,
they've escaped. They won this week. So now they have 3 wins. They're no longer eligible to be in the bottom 10.
I was going to say they've won 2 in a row because I watched them beat Miami of Ohio as well.
Yeah,
so.
They blew their chance.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Here's mine. Trying to get above 500. Did 2 and 3 last week, and I'll take it because I didn't concentrate on it all last week with everything going on with the Breeders' Cup. It's just couldn't do it. But anyway, this week I have 5 overs for our team totals, all in the NFL. And the last time I did this, I went 5-0. So I'm trying to repeat there. I got the Rams over 27.5. We talked about that. Titans over 23.5. Chargers over 27.5. Vegas over 24.5. And then tonight I'm going to go Baltimore over 27.5. So that's going to be my 5 for this week. Let's see. We got some comments here as I was reading those. Let's see. Oh, did y'all pick OU? I missed it. We
sort of
did. Yeah. We both went with different bets than the spread one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I think we both agree OU should win this game.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Will they do it? I don't know, but they should.
Martin says, "Here's tonight's parlay. He's going under on the total of the college football game, under on the total of the NFL game, and the Toronto Raptors money line." So there's a parlay for everybody.
Okay, so he's going under 46.5 on the NFL.
Yep.
And Pittsburgh tonight, he's going under 73.
Yep.
And Toronto Raptors, I don't know who they play.
Let's see. I have not looked up NBA.
I've kind of been playing that a little bit, practicing for down the road.
Stand by here as we look up. The Raptors will play the 76ers tonight in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, a 3-point favorite in this game. Raptors are 6-6. Philadelphia 8-4. So,
he's just Raptors him to win
in an upset
tonight. Yeah. I don't think so.
Well, I haven't watched any of those teams play yet, so
he's pretty good at this. So
he's 1 for 1 with those NBA games. He definitely had it on lock on Monday. So
that's good.
All right, we've went about an hour and 20 minutes. Anything else going on, or are we ready to go?
I don't have anything. Isaac wanted me to talk about this, but we can do that some other time.
Let's do that Monday night. And the only reason I say that, Isaac, is we've been on for a while because we did a little 20-minute thing about the college football playoff to start this show. So just a little tease. We'll do this story on Monday night. So make sure to tune in talking about Papa Dude at the scores table at Pierce City. Any preview without giving it away?
Well, it was quite a scene.
All right.
I know it's hard to believe, but I kind of lost control. It was something I wasn't real proud of, but I kind of was proud of too. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right.
All right. So tune in for that, guys. We're going to get out of here. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Good luck to everybody playing, whether it's ponies or sports this weekend. Another good weekend. Don't have many of these weekends left where it's just full slates every Saturday and Sunday. So enjoy it while we got it, guys. And we'll see you right back there on Monday night. We'll be back previewing the Monday Night Football game and wrapping up what we saw this week. Good luck to everybody playing.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Dudes Who Bet Sports.
So you want to bet sports, but you need some advice on how to cash in big at a heck of a price. Well, if you want enough money to line your shorts, then you're in the right place. This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press